jam! Hello again and welcome back to That's the Monday Night Magic intro. Okay, one more time.
Let's just record another episode of that. How about that?
I mean, we could talk about the news again. I mean, whatever. You want to talk about Eternal Weekend? Talk about how busted Vintage is? Shop's an oath. That's all you get. All right, let me start this episode. Oh, jam! Hello again and welcome to the Mana Pool. See, that's the right intro. This is episode 484 of the Mana Pool. I am Chewy, and I have no idea whether I'm washing or hanging out.
I'm Ryan. I'm the lead rambler and tangent master, and I sometimes I bake, sometimes I cook, sometimes I clean. I probably don't clean as much as I should.
I'm Mike. I'm the rules guy and the game lore guy, and I definitely don't clean as much as I should. Yeah, I clean so little that I'm just gonna have to stop there.
And I'm Dirk, the self-proclaimed greenest man alive and moral compass of the group. And I clean, I take care of kids, I have 1,000,001 jobs, and still have some flake of a sanity. I don't know why. Sanity. I don't know how.
Not a shred, not a sliver, but
a flake.
A flake. Is it frosted?
Maybe.
With despair?
I should have bought
Maybe
some
not.
fresh.
If flake is the one term I could come up with.
So, dear listeners, we're going to begin with a listener-supplied Mad Lib.
Oh, yeah.
Yay!
Love it.
Brought to us, as usual, by Peter, who is level 99 luck.
Awesome.
Over on, where do I see him? Twitch.
Twitch.
So, are you guys, Broken Legs, are you guys ready?
Yes.
Ready to go.
Good. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I need a red aura.
Not Galvanic Arc.
I was about to say a different one that I always say. Come on.
Is it Unending Fury? Is Unending Fury a red aura?
Undying Fury?
Undying Fury. Is that a red aura?
Gatherer.
Here we go.
There's no Undying
See if I can
Fury.
find it faster before Dirk can hit it with
There's no Undying Fury.
There's Hazaret's Undying Fury.
I'm thinking of Undying Rage.
Hey, look, it's a red aura. So
Hey, look.
Undying. And this was the card I was thinking of.
Excellent.
We
All
did
right.
it.
We got
I need
there.
an instant.
My brain's all used up after that one.
Is Smallpox an instant? Wait, no. Yeah, no.
That would rule.
No.
Swords to plowshares.
Swords to plowshares. Okay, I need a blue creature.
Lord of Atlantis.
Is that
Dirk, you
just
there?
because of the?
Yeah.
Just making sure.
Is that just because of the comment we got?
It is. That's what got me thinking about it.
Oh, okay.
And by the way, for some reason, the Gatherer says there's 0 results for the word unending in the card's name,
Really?
which is very unexpected.
My surprise to that would be unending.
Creature type.
Unending. No. Dirk, you want to chip in?
Bird.
It's the word.
Bird. All right. Now Pete is asking for a color of magic. What's a color?
I think he probably means like purple.
It's a
So-
color of magic. Wait, Pete, where are you from?
España.
I mean, there's a U in it. So, I mean, I would think that he's British, but I don't know that.
Or Canadian.
Canadians aren't real. Oh, he is Canadian. His email address is Canadian.
Oh, maybe he knows Lansdale. They all know each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
All
They might both be
Canadians,
British Canadians.
yeah, all Canadians know each other, right?
Yeah.
Green.
Such a small country.
Green, there's one.
Green.
Okay, I need a red enchantment.
Not Galvanic Arc. And not
Red
unending
enchantment.
anything. Yeah.
Maniacal Rage.
Maniacal Rage.
I don't
What
even
does
know
that do?
For 1 and a red, enchant creature gets +2/+2 and cannot block.
It's from Tempest.
Conflux.
From Exodus.
It's from a lot of things. Invasion too. Wow, that invasion art is crazy.
Oh, wow.
Conflux, Exodus, Tempest. Give me a blue enchantment, you weirdos.
Oh,
It took too long. Equilibrium.
yeah. See, every time
You
I'm
have
doing this
faith.
with you guys, I'm always like, why does it always take him so long? And now I'm like, what's a card name? Darn it. You've only been playing this game for like 15 years. Think of a card. A single card.
Equilibrium's a blue oh yeah, that one. Okay. Stepper phase of the turn.
Mike's turn.
There it was.
Upkeep.
Upkeep. I need an aura.
Frog kiss. Frog tongue. Frog tongue. Frog tongue.
Ooh.
Is that an aura?
It is Frog
It
Tongue.
is. Ever since you guys, Mike used
Odd.
one on a Mad Lib a while ago, it was like a Valentine's Day Mad Lib, and it was perfect. And I'm like, must use Frog Tongue. So now I've fulfilled my destiny.
Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, I need a artifact with converted mana cost 1 or 2.
Ooh. Bone Splitter?
Boom.
Bonesaw!
Wow, that's gonna be funny. Wait, isn't Bonesaw's converted mana cost 0? Or is
Yeah.
that equipped?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
That
All right, I need
It's
a
a-
red or white instant.
not Galvanic Arc.
Correct.
Yeah. I like the way I ask for an aura and he doesn't say not galvanic arc.
Well, that's because I had to get the Frog Tongue in there right away.
Incinerate.
Ooh. I need incinerate. I need a counterspell of some sort.
Forbid.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Nice.
I need a card type.
Sorcery.
Walker.
I heard Planeswalker start first. I need a green instant or sorcery.
Avoid fate. Chewie's laughing because later he found out that that's the card I was thinking of, but it had Silhouette's art when I said Silhouette last time.
Bad at this game. A black instant.
Flesh to dust.
Ooh.
What does that do?
It's from Origins. I'm going through sets.
Oh.
Destroy target creature can't be regenerated for 5 and 3 and 2 black.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah, they can't all be winners.
All right. I need. It's like my jokes. I need an artifact.
Worm Coil Engine.
Oh, God.
I
I need a red sorcery.
Demolish.
That's a sorcery? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I
hope
need.
so.
Oh, jeez, man.
I need a creature.
Can I say it? Can I say it? Can I say it?
Yes.
Gristlebrand.
God. All right. I need a creature class.
Sorry.
Wizard.
Wizard. I need a white enchantment.
Oblivion.
Wait. No. Okay. Accidentally closed OBS again. Or I almost closed OBS again. Okay, there. Now it's minimized. What was that again? Oblivion something?
Oblivion Ring is what he said.
Oblivion
Yep.
ring. Okay.
Good old O-ring.
I need a sorcery.
Decree of Pain.
That's gonna be great. I need a red or green sorcery.
Desert Twister.
Ooh.
That's a good one. I need an instant.
Murder. Wait, is murder a sorcery or instant?
Instant.
I need a blue sorcery. Blue doesn't have sorceries.
Traumatize.
All right, I need a typically black creature type because that's racist.
Make a controversial choice. Cleric.
Demon.
Okay, I'm gonna say demon because Brian has done like the last 8.
I have.
Black or red creature?
That seems racist.
Goblin King.
Oh God. Goblin
Go with the
King.
Lord of Atlantis.
I need a red instant.
Galvanic Blast.
I need wait, really? Okay, I need a green or red instant.
Somebody else go.
Great. Now they can't handle the pressure.
That's a sorcery.
Giant Growth.
Okay, giant growth, and then a blue or green aura.
Not.
Shielding Plaques.
Shielding plaques. Okay. So
Are we
this
good?
is. Hang on, let me put this on this screen.
I think we
Okay.
did a good job. I'm curious to hear this one.
You and me both. This is the Telltale Mad Lib.
Edgar
True.
Allan Poe.
I am nervous, very, very dreadfully nervous. But why will you say that I am undying rage? Observe how calmly I can swords to plowshare you the whole story.
Oh, baby.
Careful.
I loved the old Lord of Atlantis. He never wronged me. But I think it was his eye. Yes, he had the eye of a bird, a pale green eye. Whenever it fell upon me, my maniacal rage ran cold. I made up my equilibrium to rid myself of the eye forever. Every upkeep, I turned the latch of his door and opened it. It took me an hour to place my whole frog tongue within.
That's pretty good.
Whew, baby.
Well,
Okay, alright, I'm okay. When my head was well in the room, I undid my bone splitter cautiously. So much that a single thin incinerate fell upon the eye. Ugh. But I found the eye always closed, so it was forbidden to do the work.
What?
Well, it was forbid,
forbid.
Oh, okay.
so I made it grammatically fit.
Okay.
But on the 8th upkeep, it was open. Wide open. With a loud yell, I threw open the bone splitter and leaped into the room. I see what he was going for here. In a planeswalker, I avoid fated him to the floor and pulled the heavy bed over him.
Seems counterproductive.
A little bit. I flesh to dusted the corpse. Oh God. I then took up 3 planks from the wormcoil engine and deposited all between the scantlings. I don't know what a scantling is. Google. Now I'm curious. Scantling. A piece of lumber of small cross section. Oh. Okay. No. Wait, hang on. I need the Mad Lib. There it is.
So our wormcoil engine is made out of wood.
That's why you can kill it with fire.
Yes.
There
The
came
split.
a demolish at the door. It was 3 Grizzlebrands.
Is that even legal?
Who, I mean, you know, Mirror Universe, not Mirror Universe.
Mirror Gallery.
Mirror Gallery, there we go. It was 3 Grizzlebrands who introduced themselves as wizards of the police. Guys, the police is using wizards now.
Wizard of Grizzlebrands.
I bade them welcome. The wizards were satisfied. My oblivion ring had convinced them.
Yeah, that would do
I
it.
mean, it's convincing me.
Yeah.
But my head ached, and I heard a decree of pain in my ears. But still they sat and chatted. The decree of pain became more desert twister.
Oh.
It grew louder, and still the Grizzlebrands chatted pleasantly and murdered. Just casually over tea and biscuit. No, they heard, they suspected, they traumatized. They were making a mockery of my demon. Again, hark, louder. Goblin kings, I shrieked, dissemble no more. I galvanic blasted the deed. Giant growth up the... Wait, hang on, what was this artifact? Giant growth up the worm coil engine here. Here, it is the beating of his hideous shielding plaques. So I liked all of that except for the in an instant. He just replaced instant with card type, and so we got in a planeswalker.
Happy Halloween, everybody!
In case you can't tell, that was based on the Telltale Heart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Classics.
That one, I think we chose very well for some of those.
I mean, it did take me almost an hour to get my entire frog tongue inside.
I think it would have been you'd think he would have been a little better off than that if he flushed to dusted the corpse.
Well, in the Telltale Heart, it's always the question of, is it actually a supernatural beating heart, or is it the author's own conscience that is driving him to madness? So maybe we fleshed to dusted the corpse well enough, but unfortunately our cooled, undying ray, unending, unceasing,
Maniacal rage.
Avoid fate.
It kept traumatizing us. Meanwhile, those Grizzlebrand wizards,
3 Grizzlebrands that came in, those wizard police.
the wizard police Grizzlebrands are there just casually talking and murdering in the living room.
Excuse me. So a big thanks to Peter for the Mad Lib. That was pretty good.
That was awesome. I actually need to take like 2 minutes and go grab some water, and I'll be right back. You guys chat amongst yourselves about frog tongues and whatnot.
I can't say that I really have an opinion on frog tongues.
As long as they don't take that long, right?
Yeah, if it's take you an hour to get your whole frog tongue in, you should probably rethink your strategy. Oh, good lord. All right, my attempt to segue that in as if we never stopped just didn't work because I can't think of what we were saying. So, hey, hope you enjoyed that brief Batman transition sound. You know, the da-da-da-da, that's what they just heard.
Awesome.
Because I am a professional. And I know how to do this. So
Holy sequencing, Chewie.
Yes. So we've done several of these episodes, most of which were Brian's idea, I think, where we take some form of media that isn't magic, and we talk about the ones we like and try to convert some of those things into magic cards of some sort. Yes. So we've done, I think we started with video games?
We start with video games because the first episode was Would Solid Snake Have Shroud?
Right.
For some reason that has always stuck with me. So
because that's a really good title.
I think that's how I even posed it to you. I was like, I've got an idea for an episode. Would Snake have Shroud? And you're like, that's great. So we need to come up with some kind of name for this segment, though, just because we do it about once a year, and it's hard to really put that into a phrase that's less than 20 words long.
Yeah. So we've done video games. We've done movies. We've done TV shows. We've done books.
Mm-hmm.
Am I missing one?
I don't think so.
Did we do movies twice?
It's one of those things where I've been wanting to revisit some of them because, like TV shows, there are a whole bunch of new shows and there's some classic ones that I've gone back and seen now. But I don't believe we revisited any of them yet. So I think everything is still on the first iteration.
The Turner Classic Magic.
Yeah. No, it's Masterpiece
when we
Magic.
do the TV revisit.
It's Masterpiece
Yeah,
Magic.
we got to start going by. Yeah, we'll start
Genre.
going by specific decades and genres, right?
Oh my god. So, Brian had the idea that with this episode, why don't we do it again, but use comics?
Yes.
Not just any specific kind of comics, but comics in the most broad sense. So,
Right.
comic books, web comics, newspaper comics, that sort of thing.
Right. Just not like, that comic that you drew one time in 5th grade that you shared with your social studies class, just because it has to be at least well known enough that hopefully someone somewhere, one of our listeners will go, hey, I've read that before. Now, I focused a little bit on webcomics, and not everyone will have my taste in webcomics, so I'm hoping that maybe this will expose some people to some things.
Baby.
Wow. Yeah.
Also, we're not saying that comic that you drew for your social studies class in 5th grade is bad. We're saying
No.
it didn't get, although it probably was.
It
If
didn't
you
go
look back,
mainstream.
yeah, if you look back, it was probably bad. I'm sorry, but
You were just a little kid. You didn't know what you were doing.
yeah, it's fine. I'm sure if you were to do it again, it would be much cooler, and then you could make a webcomic out of it, or at least meme on Facebook for a minute.
Yeah.
But,
So what we'll do is we'll kind of take turns and go around and do like one at a time. And really, everybody has a different approach to this as far as how much they wanted to put into it ahead of time, because the whole point is to generate some discussion of what goes into Magic cards and how would you exemplify this comic and the quote-unquote world of this comic as either an individual card or a card set or world building or anything like that. As more of an exercise, if anything else. And because so far they've been really enjoyable to do. So we don't have a very strict, like we have to cover this and this and this, but however much you do it. For example, for mine, I took some of the ones that I wanted to do. And then for most of them, I tried to figure out what is the feel for this comic? How would that translate to Magic cards, or a small segment of Magic cards, if not a set, at least, a couple of cards within a set. Is there a returning mechanic that fits? Is there some kind of new mechanic that I could come up with? And with most of them, I came up with at least one card, but I didn't do that with everything. Whereas Mike may have taken a very different approach to this. So we'll just go through it, but yeah. So does anybody want to go ahead and get us started? Is anything they're itching to get out there, or do you want me to start, or how do you want to do this?
Spider-Man should have reach.
Spider-Man should have reach.
well, there's the title. Would Spider-Man have reach?
Well,
No, Spider-Man should have reach. That
Spider-Man should.
that's
I
the
mean,
title.
yeah. I mean,
Make that the title. Yeah,
he's
Spider-Man
not a
should have reach.
giant
Okay, fine.
spider.
I was trying
I
to
don't-
keep it in line with the wood solid snake half shroud, but okay, fine.
Would Spider-Man have reach?
Yes. He wouldn't be like a giant spider just because he's not a giant spider. Although, didn't he mutate? Didn't he like get 6 arms at one point? You know,
That was a side storyline. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to be upfront about this. I enjoy comics, but I did not get into comic books the way that some of the guys did younger. So I kind of stayed away from a lot of them. I made a couple notes about some I wanted to talk about, but I kind of thought that a lot of this would be covered really well by everybody else. So if you're looking for more of the traditional Marvel, DC, etc., like Spider-Man, then I'm hoping that Dirk and everybody else will pick up the slack. So Spider-Man, reach, absolutely. Where is he sticking those webs when he's swinging through, Central Park?
I guess it depends on which game you're playing.
Birds.
Birds.
Like poles.
Just a passing albatross that doesn't notice his weight.
Yeah.
Who would you say is the most iconic Spider-Man villain? Would
Green
it be
Goblin.
Green Goblin or Dr.
Yeah,
Octopus?
either Green Goblin or Dr. Octopus.
Okay,
Green
fair.
Goblin probably has the edge there.
Yeah, probably.
Well,
And I
Green
feel
Go-
like the Green Goblin needs to tap and make Goblin Bombs.
Heh.
He deals 2 damage to a creature,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and it's because he's like throwing Goblin Bombs at someone, and he should have flying.
Oh, well, yeah.
Because of the glider.
Mm-hmm. Well, the glider could be an equipment that gives
How-
him flying.
I haven't really read a whole lot of Spider-Man comics. How well did the first film represent Green Goblin? Pretty well, or was it a very different characterization?
I mean, in hindsight, it was pretty good. It's all right.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Just-
the Green Goblin is an old character that's been done and redone-ish several times, so.
Okay.
I mean,
I
he
just
became the
asked-
president. It's weird that there's the supervillain that became president in Marvel and DC and in reality. So
Ooh. Ooh.
I'm just kidding. Trump's not a supervillain. He's just a... Anyway, moving on.
Anyway. Okay. I only asked because not having read the comics, I didn't know how true that was. And I know sometimes, like, you're not going to go to somebody and say that Dragon Ball Evolution is a good example of Dragon Ball, So anyway. I would love to see a Dr. Octopus card, though. I think that would be interesting.
I feel like he should have a power of 8.
Would he work a bit like Pentavus, where you can remove counters to get tokens, or I mean the arms stay attached to him all the time.
Yeah, I don't remember
right?
his arms jumping off and flapping around.
Yeah, but they can all move more or less independently, right?
Yes.
So
Maybe he can... Isn't there an octopus already that's an 8/8 that can block 8 things?
Lorthos, isn't it?
Lorthos, can he block 8 things? And also when he attacks, you can pay 8 and tap 8 things?
Maybe that's what it was. I think that's what I was thinking, yeah.
Yeah. You're thinking of the spider that can block 8 things because it has 8 eyes.
I don't think I was thinking of spiders at all.
Now I gotta do gather search for 8,
Great.
so I can find a picture of a spider with 8 eyes and show
It might
to
say
Steve.
can block an additional 7 creatures. That might be what its rules text says. I can't remember.
I'll just do a quick rule search for the word 7. That's not going to pull up too many things.
Yeah, not for the word 7.
Not for the word 7.
I don't know. Maybe.
Oh, threshold. Additional 7. There we go. So
Anything?
what's something that somebody else wanted to...
Oh, we were
bring
waiting
up?
on your gatherer results.
Okay, all right. Additional 7. Patriarch. Watcher in the web. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That guy. Now I have to go look at a page. Watcher in. Oh, yeah, this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had a pre-release story about him, right?
Did I?
Or pre-release anecdote about him, didn't you?
Maybe. I don't know.
Have to go look back at the original.
Yeah, you'll have to go listen
Shadows
to the
over
Shadows Over
Innistrad.
Innistrad podcast because I don't remember.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and take the next one, and I thought I'd start off with something a little more well known. So I actually turned to the newspaper comics page, the syndicated comics, and who all's familiar with? Well, tell you what. I'll tell you the name of the card I described. And I couldn't really come up with this exactly the way I wanted because of the way that split cards are named, because it's blank and blank. But I really just wanted to name this card Good Grief.
I had a feeling it was going to be a Peanuts reference.
So good for a single white is an instant target creature gets +1/+1 and gains lifelink until end of turn. And Grief, black sorcery, target player discards a card that sacrifices a creature. Which felt a little pushed, but a lot of edicts for cost 1 and a black and are instants. So I thought, So it doesn't tie into.
I was about to say,
Peanuts
so is that the
exactly.
torment he suffers every time Lucy pulls the football away?
Yep.
What were you going for there?
I was more going for the fact that good. I wanted 2 cards that could stand together. Like split cards are weird. I'll admit. Because they need to both stand on their own. So the Grief I got, I definitely had a picture in my mind of Charlie Brown falling on his back as she pulls the football away. So But that was more just I was like, I have to make a good grief card. So yeah. Peanuts I thought was interesting because it's got a very lighthearted tone, and that's some of the things that I ran into with a lot of comics is in general is getting away from action comics is it's a medium that a lot of people look to for levity, for laughs.
Mhm.
So I'm looking at Peanuts, and it actually has a very Lorwyn-esque vibe to it. Not in the sense that there's any kind of creature type. Everybody's human, except for maybe the parents. So you don't see them.
Snoopy and Woodstock.
That's true. I thought about making like a Red Baron card.
That's one of the things I thought of.
See, but the tone. But as far as the tone, like, because in lore, when they made Lorwyn before the switch to Shadowmoor, they made a point of making the conflicts a little lighter, a little less serious, a little less end of the world, because it's more just, hey, look at this happy, shiny place. This boggart is stealing a pie. Oh no,
that bastard. But also, just like Peanuts, or I say just like Lorwyn, Peanuts has that like undertone of misery. Because like Charlie Brown, like stuff gets relatively darker than you'd think when you think of Peanuts.
You're gonna ruin my childhood, aren't you?
Well, it's not like super dark, but I mean it's relatively like there's a bit of existential dread. Like, especially when Charlie Brown is going to see the psychologist again, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And there's one that sticks out in my head that I don't know if it's real or not, but there's one where Charlie Brown, like, sees a bunch of his friends at a pool. And then in the next panel, he's sitting in, like, a little kiddie pool by himself. And I was like, oh, well, that got dark.
I don't remember.
Hey, can I join in or anything? He just went and sat there by himself and looked pitiful. I'm like, oh.
But that sounds a little bit like something that Charlie Brown might do, so... Yeah.
So hey, Mike, it's kind of lighthearted. It still has the potential for some more darker theme. Yeah. So, Mike, what's something you wanted to talk about? Uh-oh. Hey, Mike, we can't hear you if you're talking.
There you are.
Well, sort of. I'm having that weird problem where your voices keep cutting out. Let's see. I had in mind to, and I don't know what got me on the idea, but I had in mind to do a bunch of weapons and gadgets from comics, and most of mine ended up being from conventional comic books.
Okay.
And since we were just talking about Spider-Man, actually one of my first thoughts was the web shooters, Spider-Man's web shooters. And after trying to figure out what abilities they would give to the creature, I came up with flying, and I'll explain that real quick. So the first thing is, okay, he has reach. You know, the web shooters give reach because, duh, Spider-Man has reach. And also calls back to the card web, and like every spider in Magic, pretty much.
I mean, you can always just use them, shoot up in the sky, and pull something flying down to you. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then also, they give him a lot of extra mobility. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to give him an evasion ability. So I said the web shooters also, okay, the equipped creature can't be blocked except by creatures with flying. Oh. But then I realized that the sum of that ability and reach is exactly what flying is.
Yeah. Well, no, it's interesting because if you put on...
Okay, you can't shoot it down with a wing snare. True.
I mean, that's the thing, is that two creatures on opposite sides with web slingers can't block each other.
Oh, that's true. There is a functional difference. There's that and the thing where they can't be targeted or affected by stuff that only cares about creature with the flying. Okay, so maybe it would make more sense to go ahead and put both abilities on there.
It actually makes him a lot harder to block. Because Reach can't block him.
That's true. Reach can't block him.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Spider-Man and alternate universe Spider-Man are just staring at each other.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, ow, go, get over here. No, I'm swinging over you.
And because Spider-Man likes to wrap people up in the webs, I decided to add, whenever an equipped creature deals combat damage to a creature, that creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step.
Nice.
Yeah. Good job. I like that. That's very flavorful. Everybody should go see Spider-Man Homecoming if they haven't yet. Just FYI.
Yeah, now that it's not playing anywhere, you should totally go see it.
Well, it's out on Redbox.
Oh.
You don't have to go anywhere. You go get it and take it home.
You go to the grocery store.
Oh man, my brain
Like
just
you do.
my brain just popped back to Peanuts. We need to get a kite eating tree card in there somewhere,
Oh,
Oh, yes.
and maybe a great pumpkin that isn't a real card, but there are several cards that reference it.
kind of like Yawgmoth, or it used to be Okagachi. You know, you don't
Yeah.
actually see it. Something instead of second son's approach, it's Great Pumpkin's approach.
Anyway, that just popped into my head, and I had to get it out there. Excuse me.
So it would just have the gain 7 life and put the 7th from the top text and then nothing else.
Well, I mean, I just was referring to the name of it. It could do something different functionally.
Yeah.
Dark, what else you got?
So, well, I'm going with the quintessential ones that everyone's sort of used to in terms of comic books, and so I was thinking, so Wolverine, whether or not he would have regenerate or indestructibility, and decide what I would go with is, you know, you could deal damage to Wolverine, but it would be reduced. Damage dealt to Wolverine would be reduced to 1, and then like all damage would be be reduced, so that his life would end up his toughness would always go no lower than 1. Like, do you guys understand what I'm meaning by that?
I think so.
I get what you're saying. I don't know how to say it in rules words, but I get what you mean.
If a source would deal damage to Wolverine, it deals 1 damage instead, and if
yeah, the problem is you have to reference marked damage in the rules text of a card, which I don't think any card has done because it's just. But I get what you mean.
I see you're trying to get more flavorful than just indestructibility, but I think indestructibility does what you want.
Yeah.
I think regenerate's fine too, because it takes him effort to heal sometimes.
Well, it depends on who's writing him.
Oh.
Because sometimes he gets shot in the face and he's like, ha! Didn't notice, and then he guts you. And then other times it knocks him out for an hour. Like, it's a large pain in the ass. But yeah, that's why I stopped. I also thought of a Wolverine, and I'm like, well, clearly he's got regenerate. No. He's indestructible. No. Both? Not stupid. Maybe he's just got first strike. I don't know.
Well, he would definitely have. Okay, there's got to be at least an enchantment or a sorcery, the Berserker Rage, that gives him like trample and double strike and something awful. Bug
on the wall. Be right back. Keep going.
I could see him having regenerate and a very, very cheap regenerate cost. Maybe even like pay 3 life to regenerate to show that he can do it pretty much as he needs to, because that's the thing. As far as my understanding is, his healing factor is way, way up there.
Yeah, 3 is a lot. Maybe 2.
Maybe 2, but I would almost say 3 because I feel like it's going to be almost too good otherwise.
Yeah, because he'll probably have a significant power and toughness.
Yeah, and I think that if you're only paying 2 life to regenerate him, I feel like that could he's going to just take over the game very quickly.
Well, that's sort of the thing, is that in terms of I was leaning towards indestructibility because he's got the claws, and that makes him indestructible, but at the same time he doesn't have any long range abilities, so it would be he could do like 4 damage and then you could just remove him somehow with some ability, because I really do feel like that there have been several ways that you can remove him. Like, again, if you drown him, he's sort of out of it until he wakes up. If you shove things through him and then just, like throw him into a lake, or catch him in a magnet or something, he's essentially removed from combat. He's been neutralized. And so that's why I'm like, I think he should have. I mean, he's got the attack, so I would say he would have an attack of 4, and maybe like a toughness of 5.
Yeah, sounds reasonable.
What color is he? Is he red or green or red-green?
I would say he'd have to be red.
Ready, maybe, just for the
Just because
Green-
he's a berserker and everything.
Yeah. Green just for the part.
Right.
I mean, yeah, he does seem very gruely.
And you don't usually see
like a
you
red,
don't usually
red
see
green hybrid.
You don't usually see regenerate in mono red either. And thinking about his moral code, he is a loner, but he does have something. When he feels like something needs to be done, he'll do it, right?
Yeah, and there are specific people he cares about.
And that feels more green to me than not that red can't care about people.
Red, loyalty to specific people,
But it's also green.
Yeah.
And that would be good
green
for his
is
cost too, because he does have the indestructibility and everything. So that he would have the
Does he have indestructibility or regenerate?
Indestructibility.
Okay.
Because I feel like with indestructibility, the problem is with regenerate is that I don't know. Regenerate just feels like it's not being done anymore, and
it's not being done nearly as much as it used to be because it's got clunky.
No, it's just not being done anymore because of how clunky it is on the back end.
Is it not? Okay, I hadn't seen it in a while. I didn't know that they had discontinued it, but there's so much.
I mean, not permanently. They just have chosen specifically not to do it anymore right now.
Yeah.
Well, it's not super intuitive.
Yeah.
It's removed from it's tapped.
And the problem is with regeneration and all that is just that is that
regenerate,
and then they're still on the field, and it feels like indestructibility makes a lot more sense mechanically, because again, you can remove them. Okay, he comes at you, he deals damage, so you either have to remove him before he gets to you, or something else. It feels more, to me, it feels more like his character. So I would go with indestructibility as his special mechanic.
Whenever I think of Wolverine, I always remember this one thing. I don't know why, and I'll probably remember it forever. But it was back when I was in grade school. And I remember seeing some posters up in the hall outside a classroom. And obviously the kids in that class had just been learning about some basic, statistics and pie charts and bar graphs and whatever. And you could tell that some of them had filled theirs out by going and asking people a simple survey question and filling out the results in their chart. And there was a poster that had a pie chart, and it had a question: who is your favorite person? And I distinctly remember there might have been 5 results that were on the graph, but I can only remember 4. But I remember distinctly 4 of the responses were Mom, Dad, Jesus, Wolverine. And I do remember that Wolverine had more votes than Jesus. And whenever I think about Wolverine, I remember that poster.
I voted Jesus.
I voted other.
All right. Moving on, if that's okay.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so I'm going to go to a different comic now, and as promised, I'm going to go to a webcomic. And I've got a couple here, but one I wanted to start with is one that maybe not everybody's familiar with, but I feel like it's probably one of the ones that translates best to Magic the Gathering. It's called Errant Story, ERRANT Story. It ran from 2002 until 2012, and then after that, I think the author started running it again with author commentary, and I don't think he finished that. I think it's just kind of hanging out there. But you can read the whole thing from the beginning if you've got the time, because it's kind of a long comic. But it's an interesting one in that it has a beginning, middle, and end, and the full story arc. And the reason I say it translates well is because it's a high fantasy setting. And in the world that the author creates, it's basically divided between elves, humans, and half-elves. And it's very much a race war where basically the elves were one of the older races and aren't seen a whole lot anymore. They're kind of off to themselves, partially because their population is dwindling. They can't really, for various reasons, they can't really make more elves. Humans are flourishing, but are limited by, their lack of capabilities, including the fact that they can't use magic very well in general, and then the half-elves that are kind of not very well regarded by either. So
they can
pick it
see
up.
in the dark. Sorry.
I don't know what that's a reference to.
Like,
Okay.
half elves have like infravision in the old like Baldur's Gate games.
Yeah.
I never played Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate was D&D,
So-
right?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't play that either. So ha 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 ha. ha. But anyway, so if you've got an interest in it, go check it out. And I feel like there's several themes here that are similar to ones that we've seen in Magic sets previously. I think that tribal would be a pretty deep theme here. Obviously, the fact that magic is used by several of these races. There's a tribe of humans that actually can use magic very well in a limited regard. They are trained as assassins, and they use time magic in a way that even the full-blooded elves don't really understand. And so basically, one of them gets an assignment to go kill a person. Think of the monk class in a lot of games, but this one can then, basically stop time for you and move around and kill you while you don't have time to react with their bare fists, or usually they have a particular bow type weapon. So the story centers around a half-elf girl that's... Okay, I should have said this from the beginning. I really should have. This comic has mature content in it. There's lots of swearing. In certain sections, there's nudity. Now, of course, it's all drawn, so, nudity woo. But if you're the type of person that's offended by that, then you want to steer clear of this. But the main
Or if
character...
you're at work.
Or if you're at work. But the main character here, Meji, I really don't know how to pronounce her name, but because it's written, I just go, oh, it's her. I don't really say it out loud. Is a half elf, and she swears a lot, and it's kind of interesting. The story starts out with she's getting ready to graduate from school, maid school or what have you, but she's a slacker. And she really isn't prepared to do her senior project at all. Just throwing this out real quick, I love how some of the comic can be very meta, because they're in the assembly hall and all the students have to announce what their senior project will be, and they call out a random student's name, and he said he's going to investigate the Vanish Doom hypothesis. Yeah, see, okay, thought that might... Anyway, so I like the little references like that. So I just thought it would translate pretty well. If you guys haven't read it, it's not a whole lot to add. I did make a card for this. The main character has a flying cat that's her familiar, and if anything, he's more vulgar than she is, and he gets on everybody's nerves. And from time to time, all the supporting characters that then come into the story remark about how they just want to get rid of him as soon as possible because he's extremely annoying. The main character practices magic on him quite a bit, because through one way or another, he's actually become invincible. He regenerates automatically. So they picked fun on him for that. His name is Ellis. So the card here is Ellis, the Pest Familiar. For 1 and a black, he is a legendary creature, a cat familiar. I didn't know if we'd seen familiars before, so I threw that card type in there.
Past we have.
Have we?
I don't know if it's been a type, but it's been in the name.
Yeah, I think it's just been a name.
Okay, well, I'm throwing it in here. He is a 1/2 with indestructible, because that's what he is, and flying. And at the beginning of your upkeep, he deals 1 damage to you because he's annoying. And because you also have to balance out having a 1/2 indestructible flyer. So, there you go.
Yeah, familiar isn't a type, but it's on all kinds of card names.
I'm throwing it in here. I may later have an uncle type card.
Nice.
I will not have an uncle type card, but I'm using familiar here. All right. And, well, I think it's an interesting webcomic. If nobody else has read it, let's just keep moving.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Okay.
So I have a few quick hits from newspaper comics.
Go right ahead.
That are relatively straightforward, because I didn't have any idea how to turn a full card into them. But I think Jeremy Duncan would have protection from parents. And immediately anyone who knows this comic is already doing what Brian's doing.
Zitz.
Zitz, the main character. Where my parents are still convinced that someone was spying on us and taking notes and later turning them into comics.
I think every parent feels that way.
Yeah.
Zitz is a great comic, especially since I think they started their run while we would have been teenagers, because that's about the time that I was familiar with it. So
let's see. Zitz started in... That is not what I wanted. Where's the Wikipedia page? Aha. Zitz started in 1997. Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, it's fairly recent.
It's fairly... 1997.
No, that's a lot earlier than I would have expected.
Yeah, I was expecting like it didn't pop up until I was in college. But no, 97. So I was like 16. So yeah, had I known about it then, it would have been perfect. But anyway, yeah, it's a comic about a teenage boy and his parents, and it's mostly from the teenager's point of view, which is good for all of you people out there who have forgotten what it's like to be a teenage boy, especially if you never were. But it's dead on, and I decided, that Jeremy would totally have protection from parents because they don't seem to faze him at all. I tried to come up with something for his dad, but nothing came to mind that really worked. All right, and you guys are no help, so moving on.
no, I think that was good.
Wait, I lost my notepad. On a similar note, I think Dilbert has protection from managers.
I actually made a card for the manager.
Oh, what you got?
The manager, for 2 and 2 black. I don't know that we've ever heard his name. Everybody just knows he's the manager. For 2 and 2 black, he's a legendary human minion because even he has his bosses.
Yeah.
He's a 0/4. The manager can't be sacrificed unless you control a creature with converted mana cost 5 or more. So
nice.
Your spells cost 1 more to cast. Creatures you control don't untap during your untap step. And finally, pay 4 life and discard a card. Target opponent gains control of the manager.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
And Dilbert started in 1989. Wow.
Yeah, forever.
He's the one I really liked. I tried a couple others. I didn't like him. For the mood of Dilbert, everything felt very griefer. for returning mechanics, I had detain. And, I thought, for a new mechanic, bureaucracy, basically making things cost more. But it just feels very, like the whole point of the comic is, the craziness of office work and how basically the system doesn't work in some of these companies, especially this fictitious one. I thought about making a Catbert card, and I just couldn't come up with one I like.
Catbert is the evil director? Is it Human Resources?
Yeah,
Yes.
the evil director of Human Resources.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I love Catbert.
He's great.
I mean, you could just put him on any existing demon card, and it would probably work.
Yes, especially any that Mike has used. And
Exactly.
read, because that's what he does. So, well, Mike, what's another weapon or equipment that you got for us?
Okay,
Oh.
here's a...
Hey, by the way, apparently his official name is Pointy-Haired Boss.
That's his official name?
Yeah, the manager.
Okay.
Pointy-haired boss.
Huh, how
Okay.
about that? Okay, keep going, Mike. Sorry, I just saw that.
All right. So the next one I came up with when I was thinking about this stuff is Batman's utility belt.
Oh, okay.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Is it a
So the-
planeswalker?
So first of all, the equipped creature gets vigilance.
Well, yeah.
That's part of being ready for anything. And let's see. I couldn't decide if I wanted a combat damage trigger or a combat damage to a creature trigger. But right now, I'm thinking whenever the equipped creature deals combat damage, put a charge counter on the utility belt. We can come up with a better counter name later.
Okay.
And it has an activated ability. Remove 2 charge counters. Search your library for a card. Set it aside. Shuffle your library. And then put that card on top.
Okay.
I was going to say, there needs to be some kind of tutor effect here because it's the belt. So,
yeah, straight to hand seemed too good, so putting it on the top.
Yeah. If it's bat shark repellent, can I reveal it and put it into my hand?
Just for you, yes.
Yes. No, but I like that because, okay, so it gets vigilance and then you get some way of getting counters on it to then tutor for things, which is nice because it should be repeatable, but repeatable tutoring by itself would be broken. So you got to find a way to balance it. So.
Yeah, so I think 2 charge counters helps it not be so broken.
I like it.
Yeah, it's really good. And it lets you... Well, it helps you always be prepared. You know, what else does he have in his utility belt? Well, here's a grappling gun and some popcorn. Like, what? So he can get up high, and then while he's up there, he can snack so he doesn't get hungry and die. Like, what? And, of course, bat shark repellent.
Batman would have fear, right? I mean...
Or I guess he would have menace.
He would have menace, yeah.
He would have menace because fear sounds better from a flavor perspective, but actually he shouldn't be blocked by black creatures. That's kind of the point. So
yeah, even they're afraid of him.
Exactly. Yeah. But when there's 2 common thugs, they're like, oh, there's just one of them. We can take him.
No.
It's just a guy in a suit.
Where are you? Where are you? I love that.
Swear to me.
What's something else you got for us, Dirk?
All right. So, Captain America. So, remember we had the
Avengers version or the Hydra version?
Shut up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Keep going.
Okay.
I don't even read comics, and I heard about that. That was dumb.
So, Captain America wasn't sure on his stats, but he's got to have melee. And it will make sense in just a second. Melee? So remember that there was the commander who, whenever, or the cat deck, the guy who, whenever he enters battlefield, go and search for an artifact or equipment.
Yeah. Stoneforge Mystic.
So he goes and whenever Captain America enters the battlefield, search for equipment named Captain America's Shield. The shield gives him +2/+2 and tap. Deal 2 damage divided among any number of targets.
Cool.
So melee, whenever this creature attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each opponent you attacked with a creature this combat.
Oh, was that a conspiracy mechanic?
It was.
It was. I actually just looked it up.
Yeah, I was having to do that too.
I'm like, melee. Does he mean exalted? No, he doesn't mean exalted. Because Captain America doesn't mind fighting with other people. You know, he's all about having a team with him.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there's no way, there's not a mechanic that I know of where you target creatures, do something. So,
you could have,
like I said, I thought it would be cool to do melee where he can, whatever creatures he fights, he gets bigger because, you know, he can whip and do all stuff, and the shield allows him to divide damage amongst target creatures because, again, the shield bounces and ricochets off things. I didn't want to make the shield overly powerful, so it was like, 2 damage divide amongst any number of targets. Sounds good.
I can
be like he throws it really hard and really clocks someone, or it's like 1 damage to you, 1 damage to you, you know, back to me sort of thing. The equipment does not come unattached when it does this because it always comes back.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Unless there's a Winter Soldier on the field.
Wah.
But he throws it back to him anyway. I could see Captain America having melee, but I almost like Battlecry more because he's inspiring. You know, when he Battlecry says when this creature attacks, other creatures attacking creatures you control get +1/+0. So he's like, they look at him and they're like, oh, it's Captain America. We can do this now. So I kind of like that, but I see where you're going with the melee as well. So
maybe both.
I was just about to say, give me both because Captain America is one of the greatest hand-to-hand combatants in the Marvel Universe, depending on when you're reading it. This is the problem with talking about superhero comics is I've learned from watching what is that Death Battle is that if you have a character that's been around long enough, at some point they were completely stupidly overpowered.
Yeah.
And then they have another writer that,
nerfs them.
They got hit by a pillow, and it's the pillow that's made to not, that my point being that different writers take different approaches. So it's hard. I love Death Battle because they are as scientific about it as they can get. And still, they still have to, with comic books, they have to choose from such a long history. They really have to choose what they put in, because you cannot have 70 years worth of material. You just can't. So,
yeah.
And the fans are going to hate you anyway.
Sure.
So for one that I'll go back to one that's probably a little more familiar, going back to the comic book page, Dagwood, because Dagwood and Blondie.
Does this involve sandwiches or naps?
I thought about Dagwood in 3 different ways: sandwiches, naps, and trying to get out of work. And I was trying to do something with evasion, but I'm like, that really doesn't feel like I can build around that. So again, looking at the comic as a whole, okay, he loves the sandwiches. His wife is also a caterer. Blondie's a caterer, correct?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I believe she is. So,
something like that.
So I thought, okay, so the theme here is food. If I can come up with a theme, it's food. And so I thought, okay, +1/+1 counters, effects that give +1/+1 counters, and auras. Just, making yourself stronger, making like a little bit of a Voltron type effect. So I have here Dagwood's Sandwich. For 1 and 2 green, it's a legendary enchantment. It has to be legendary. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may reveal an aura card from your hand. If you do, put a condiment counter here. Creatures you control get +X/+X, where X is the number of condiment counters on Dagwood's Sandwich. Now that I look at it, I'm like, you could just keep an aura in your hand forever. So you might have to, that might be a little too easy. You might have to exile it or something.
Or play them.
Or was going to say, or whenever you cast an aura.
Whenever you cast, there you go. I like that better. And then I thought about making something like a fridge that you could tap to put a condiment counter on something and make condiments a thing. But I didn't know if I was getting a little too far out there. Obviously, some of these things would be borderline silver borders. So
roll for Swiss.
I mean, we're just gonna have to assume everything we're talking about is silver border.
Did you make a Batmobile? Please tell me you made a Batmobile.
I made a vehicle, but not a Batmobile.
Which vehicle did you make?
Yeah, now you gotta give.
Yeah.
The invisible jet.
But how will we know when you play it? Is it what's the sneaky cheaty face?
So I know it has to have a crew number of 3 or 4, because you got to be pretty badass to actually operate an invisible jet. So we'll start there. And
Wonder
I don't know.
Woman's at least a 5/5, right? So
yeah, it would be. It's at least a 5/5, maybe even more.
Okay.
It has flying and haste because it's a jet. And for the invisibility, I decided to say it has shroud as long as it's not a creature.
Oh, sick!
Because when you're actually piloting the invisible jet, people can see you, just flying around in the.
Yeah. They're like, hey, there's you. How are you up there? Oh, wait. Oh. But until somebody's in it.
Yeah, it's invisible.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
I like that a lot. Chewy, I didn't mean to skip over you. I was just trying to ask him about the Batmobile. What else did you have, Chewy?
What? Oh, are we done? Was that all the invisible jet does?
Isn't that enough?
Yeah, flying haste, shroud, as long as it's not a creature.
Well, how big is it?
Oh, I don't know. At least 5 power, maybe more. At least 5 toughness, maybe more.
Phew.
Let's make it a 6/5. Why not? Let's go nuts.
So I can't blow it up unless it's a creature, which means sorcery speed removal is just dead. Dead.
Even sorcery speed artifact removal.
And then all I then need to do if you wipe my board is play a big enough creature next turn and go ahead and tap it to hit you in the face for 6.
Yes.
Dang.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I have 2 more quick ones.
Okay.
So a comic that I read a lot when I was a wee chewy was Garfield.
Yep.
And ever since I discovered Garfield minus Garfield, I've loved John Arbuckle as a character.
You showed us that a little while ago. Yeah, you introduced me to that.
But I couldn't come up with anything for John Arbuckle other than a 0-1 wimp. Like, because poor John just can't win. So, and I tried to come up with something involving like kicking Odie off the table or lasagna or something, but none of that really felt right. The only thing that I could that popped into my head that clicked was that whenever anyone uses a Monday effect, it has to target Garfield.
I hate Mondays.
Because
I was thinking I was wondering if his hatred of Mondays would have something to do with the untap step or the upkeep.
Maybe? I don't know. I was thinking that it would be like a subtype of something like Arcane. Mondays, if Garfield is on the board, then you have to... or that would just be part of the card text on Monday effects.
Okay.
Is that they have to target a Garfield if there's a Garfield on the board.
I wonder if he could be like similar to an Atog, where he can just eat a card from your hand or something.
Eat lasagna.
But because he doesn't actually get stronger, it just goes away at the end of turn. So not counters or anything, just like an Atog, or a Psychotog or something like that.
I wonder if
Something
there's a way
family.
We can work in mailing Nermal to Abu Dhabi.
Poor Nermal. I never understood why he didn't like Nermal. I'm like, she's cute. I didn't get why that was a bad thing until I was older. I was like, oh, he hates her because she's cute. Okay.
Yeah, that's why none of us like your daughter.
I'm going to mail you to
She's so cute, it makes us all sick.
I thought Nermal was a he. Is that incorrect?
No, I think he is, but...
Is he? Really?
I think
wow,
so.
that would change my entire perception.
I'm pretty sure the cartoon, Nermal was a she.
I don't think so.
All right, you know what? I'm looking this up.
Yeah. Garfield Wiki. He first appeared in the comic. Yeah, he's a boy.
Wow, he's a very cute boy.
Well, his latest appearance in the comic strip was in October 11th of this year. Huh. Well, how about that?
Okay. Let's do the quick one you had.
Fans have often mistaken him for a female kitten because of his eyelashes, his seemingly feminine personality, and the tone of his voice on his early television appearances.
There you go.
Yeah.
You go, but anyway, my other one, okay, let's see if you get this. This wasn't a comic I especially liked, but every once in a while they had a good one. The name of the card is Not Me. Not Me has Shroud, is unblockable, is a 1/1. And when Not Me deals combat damage to an opponent, something, destroy one of their permanents subject to some kind of criteria. I don't know what, because I don't know. But do you know who Not Me is?
No.
Not Me is from Family Circus.
Oh,
and the kids would always, like, the parent would be like, who did this? And one kid would go, not me. And the other one would go, I don't know. And there'd be the two little, like, invisible characters with their names, Not Me and Ida, no.
Yeah.
Running away, giggling.
Yeah. I remember that now.
Like, I thought about something, because Family Circus gets criticized for being sort of boring. And
preachy?
No, just kind of
really, just kind of lame. And one of the things that they use all the time, which is funny the first couple times, but damn, is the dotted line showing the kid's path.
Oh, those are great.
I love that the first time I saw it, and then they do use it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, even when I was a kid reading these, I was like, I'd think about it, like, go outside, run outside and tell your father something. And then I would take the most circuitous route possible. And they'd be, hey, Mom said, well, I forgot what Mom said, but... But, I mean, when it pops up once every other month or so, it's like, come on, man. Damn. But I couldn't think of a way to turn that into a card. Unless it was like some sort of something doesn't untap and name it Circuitous Path or something. I don't know. But...
Or like a Shahrazad type effect or something.
No.
I came very, very close to a Shahrazad effect for one card. Calvin Ball.
Calvin Ball.
I tried so hard to come up with Calvin Ball, and I was like, this would have to be silver board because could it be like when Calvin Ball enters the battlefield, each player may strike a rule from the game. But I guess the question on everybody's mind is Hobbs an illusion creature?
See,
that's gonna make
it's a transform.
That's gonna make some people mad. Some people are gonna be like, ugh. I tried to come up with a card for teacher Miss Wormwood, but
God, that was her name?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Named after one of the devils from, I think it was Dante, or maybe it was Faust. But I loved Calvin and Hobbes as a kid. Doesn't hurt that tigers are always my favorite animal, but the comic was really in its heyday when I was a kid. So
nice. Yeah, I think everyone just liked like if you didn't like Calvin and Hobbes.
What was wrong with you?
Yeah, like I don't mean to be judgmental, but like really, like
yeah, they were just really fun. Bats aren't bugs, and if you get that, good for you. Calvin had to do a report on bats, and he, of course, did no research whatsoever. So he gets up to do his report on bats in front of the class, and he does it kind of like narrative style, and he's like, "You're in the dark. It's scary, and you're alone. Overhead, you hear the fluttering of many wings, and you see a bat as this giant insect swoops down upon you." And the whole class yells, "Bats aren't bugs!" And he's like, "Oh." So anyway, I'm going to return now to a webcomic. Perhaps this is one people know or not. One of the webcomics that I really enjoyed while I was in college was called It's Walkie. Let me see if I can pull. And yes, ITS, then Walkie, WALKY. Might be able to pull this up on a wiki, but I'm not going to worry about it right now because now I'm talking. I need to keep going. A gentleman started writing the comic Roomies while he was a student at Indiana University. And I believe it ran in their paper and did fairly well. The gentleman's name is David Willis. And in the process of writing it, he started introducing more and more characters to the point that it kind of grew beyond, just telling the story of some college kids, especially when he introduced aliens into the story. And it became a very sci-fi type oriented comic. So Roomies finished its run, and then It's Walkie began right after that using the same characters, just like a month later, and gradually over time, some characters that were just in Roomies started showing up in there, and then that ran for several years, I believe over 5 years. Actually had a narrative arc and concluded, and then because he wasn't quite done writing in this universe yet, he wrote a final segment called Short Packed that had several of the characters and some new ones working in a toy store. Because I think he had some experience working in toy stores. Plus, he also is a huge Transformers fan, like the actual Transformers toys. So it was a good outlet for him. And it's basically, Short Packed is a lot about the humor of retail. And
I
working
remember Short Packed.
You remember Short Packed?
Like, I recognize the name.
Okay. Well, again, it drew on, while it introduced some new characters, it also drew in several of the characters from It's Walkie and Roomies. So, but I'm focusing on It's Walkie here, kind of the middle child, because it's probably the most well-known, and it's arguably the most action-packed, because the focus is, again, science fiction. And on the one hand, you have this organization called SEMI that is made up mostly of teenagers and late teenagers, early adults, that most of which were abducted by the aliens as kids and were given genetic enhancements. And then the aliens on the other side. And the aliens are, in fact, there's one or two races, but the main antagonists, they're just called aliens, and I think they might be from the planet Alien or something, and it's silly, but they're it's got a lot of humor to it. It has some really serious tones, Sometimes, especially in the most some of the plots that are most connected to the overarching story, but it has a lot of laughs and levity to it as well. The aliens, I kind of pictured this as a bit of, once again, it's easy to fall back on tribal, but aliens versus humans. And the aliens are just silly. They are, almost all of them are stupid. They're just dumb. They're not effective. And I see them as having a lot of sacrifice effects, and, they've just got numbers. The only one that has any brains at all is called the head alien, and his personality is vastly different from the others, and he's actually quite maniacal, except that being still mostly a comic personality, he's a bit over the top and things like that. So didn't have anything really specific about that. Definitely recommend the series to anybody that wants to check it out. And if you want to start at the beginning, start with Roomies. But as I did have one example here of an alien henchman. For 1 and a black, it's a 1/2 creature alien minion, and when it dies, you gain 2 life. So the whole point is run it out there and kill it, because they die in mass number. But unfortunately, I felt like I couldn't come up with anything really that screamed to me that I could get from this universe that I couldn't get from somewhere else. And that's a shame, because the series is really good. So,
the world really is too small. I was talking to Cap, from Lair of Lore.
Yep.
I think it was yesterday about this YouTube issue I've been having. Mm-hmm. And somehow over the course of the conversation, a specific joke from the comic Dumbing of Age came up. And Dumbing of Age is the latest comic that this guy is doing. It is.
And I didn't want to go on too long, but you're right. What happened? And this is my last comment about this, so we can keep moving. But so toward the end of the run of Short Pact, Willis realized that he liked all these characters, but he wanted to do them in a different way. So he started Dumbing of Age shortly before Short Pact finished, and Short Pact is now done. They consider Roomies, It's Walkie, and Short Pact to be, quote unquote, the Walkie-verse. And then this is kind of an alternate reality here, where in Dumbing of Age, you see all the same characters, but they're in college together, and the relationships that they are in are now the Dumbing of Age has been going on for a while. Have gone in very, very different directions. They are not ending up with the same people. They are not developing in the same ways. I will say this: David Willis is really, really, really good at characterization and organically trying to develop the characters in a way that makes sense for the character, not just to force a plot point. So, and then Dumbing of Age is ongoing and updates every single day of the week. I will say this about a lot of webcomics: it is so frustrating sometimes when artists have lives, or how dare they, and maybe their webcomic is not their sole source of income or any source of income. So, some of them go on hiatus. Some of them you may not see an update for a while. And Dumbing of Age, he works months ahead, so it updates every day. And every page is in color. So go check it out. But don't do that until you've read the others. Jeez. So that's that. Again, sorry I didn't go a whole lot into the cards. I was struggling a little bit. It's a fun comic, but I felt like I was drawing a little too much on the this versus that. So
fair enough.
All right.
What you got?
Well, for me, so I've got to do a villain, and the quintessential villain is the Joker. I think you will like this. Okay. So, because of the Joker's illustrious past and everything, well, he has to be a planeswalker.
Oh, that is a terrifying thought.
So, his first ability is some sort of plus ability and destroy target creature. And this harkens back to the Golden Age, where he was essentially a serial killer.
Okay.
Silver Age.
Is he red or black?
Oh, I have no idea.
Okay. All right. Keep going.
He's a something.
Okay,
so with the first one, he would be black. All right. For the second one, he would be blue. Because with the Silver Age, he just did a bunch of really silly things that was more clown-esque. And so with the Silver Age, I thought, well, target players swap creatures. So each player would choose a creature, and then they would choose an opponent's creature and one of their creatures, and they would just swap control.
Exchange control.
Right.
Okay.
See, I wonder if you could almost do that as a red ability, because not only do we have what's the crazy kitten?
Oh, no. Red's the next one.
Well, because he's very chaotic too. But you feel like the last ability is red.
Oh, the last one's red.
Okay.
So, and his limit break ability would be each player chooses a target permanent. It is exiled. Because with the was it Bronze Age, he became an agent of chaos. So by choosing a permanent, you would sow chaos within the ranks of your opponents. It not creature, permanent. Because that way you could just go, I don't like the fact you have that land. That gets exiled. Or you could get rid of enchantments. You could get rid of artifacts. You could get rid of indestructible creatures. You could get rid of someone's big baddie who is controlling the board. Just go, that's gone. So that was what I came up with for the Joker.
I like it. I don't know if the last ability feels super red to me if it's exiling and if it's point and click. Even if everybody gets to do it, what I would say to make it really, really red is if it was random. Each player exiles a random permanent they control. That feels very chaotic. That feels very like he's just like, I'm going to blow up stuff. I don't even care what gets blown up, you know? So I'm not trying to tell you how to design your cards, but
maybe the effect can be scaled up a little bit because it doesn't sound limit breaky yet, but I get what you're going for. I think it can be scaled up to be more limit breaky.
What would it need to be doing to scale it up?
Just more permanents or just a bigger effect.
Okay.
Each player chooses 3 permanents they control at random, then sacrifices the rest.
There you go.
Buh.
Or
So now it's a
as
red
Brian said,
enchantment.
chooses 3 permanents at random and sacrifices the rest.
Somebody's going to get screwed, but, somebody might just, win the game right there. And who knows?
Yeah, the person who plays, this and has a very limited pool of stuff would be the one who makes bank.
And whenever an opponent plays who is it, Jason Todd, you can add a loyalty to the Joker. Is it Jason? Jason? It was one of the Robins.
It was Jason Todd, yeah.
Wasn't he the one that got beat by a crow hammer or something? Crowbar?
Yeah, the one that the world voted for him to die, and then many years later, they brought him back because that's what happens in comics.
What do you mean the world voted for him to die?
Oh, there was a call-in line to figure out what would happen to Jason Todd. This was like a way before the internet was a common thing. And yeah, the fans voted to kill him.
The fans voted to kill him.
Well, because no one liked Jason Todd. He sucked.
I realize he's an imaginary character, but that feels a little grim. I don't like that guy. Let's just kill him. Again, imaginary character, but it feels a little like, Yes, I like to call in and say I'd like to see this kid. He's a teenage boy get beaten with a crowbar and die.
And then blowed up. Don't forget the blowed up part.
And then blow. Jeez, that
blowed slap up.
Feels a little sick. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that. I don't think I really want to if you were watching a show like The Walking Dead and it's like, all right, call in and tell us if this character should get eaten by zombies slowly and painfully. I'm like, I'd rather vote for Dancing with the Stars. They don't have any.
It was basically the same thing as Dancing with the Stars, except,
But he's alive again?
Oh, yeah, they brought him back, I don't know, in the early 2000s, I want to say.
Okay.
It was the Death in the Family storyline was when that happened. Mm-hmm. And I think the difference was only 1 or 2 panels or a page.
Did they have a call-in to see if people wanted to bring him back from the dead?
I severely doubt it.
Okay. Kind of making fun with that last one. So, was it kind of like the Phoenix Force, where it turned out that it was never really him in the first place, and he was in stasis or something?
I don't remember. Squatto explained it to me, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Did he get hit by a time bullet?
I don't think it was as bad as that time that Superboy Prime punched the walls of reality so hard that stupid things happened.
What? Okay, all right. I don't want to get started on that.
Just don't.
Okay, because we'll be here all night. But okay, now I'm even. All right. We need to go to something else. Hey, Dirk. Okay, Dirk just did the Joker. So, Chewy, did you have anything else, or have you run through what you prepared?
So my favorite character, definitely my favorite villain, quite possibly my favorite character in comics, ever since I was a wee Chewy, which is why I giggled and got so excited at the end of Avengers, is Thanos. Like, I've always loved Thanos.
Is there a way to do the Infinity Gauntlet without, like, breaking the game?
Well, so my thought is that Thanos is a planeswalker.
Yeah.
And that's as far as I got. I'm fairly certain that he's got a minus ability that tutors up one of the gems. Like, you have to do something horrible and tutor up a gem. I don't know what. Like, you have to pay some cost.
I guess, if I'm just being devil's advocate, my question with the gems is, because each one basically controls an aspect of reality, right? To a lesser extent.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that without either being broken or feeling underwhelmed? Like we said with Okagashi, when they printed him, they maybe should have just left it alone. As cool as this would be,
well, okay,
dare we go there?
So going back to the,
does it end up kind of like the elemental rings victory condition in Legend of the Five Rings or something like that?
I never played.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So there's there's a ring for each of the elements, and you have to go through a bunch of hoops to get them on the board and start getting the benefits from them. But if you have all 5 of them, that's one of the win conditions.
Okay.
I could see that. So if you get, how many stones are there? 5 or 6?
6.
Okay, so if you get all 6 stones, you win the game, but even having the individual ones gives you a benefit?
Well, yeah, see, the good thing about the way that back in the 80s and 90s, when I was familiar with this, when the original Infinity Gauntlet storyline and the Thanos quest, which was much more interesting, the way all that happened, the way that the Infinity Gems are written is they're either completely ignored by people who don't know what they are, or people only tap into their power subconsciously. Like the guy who had the space gem was called the Runner, and he just thought it was a trinket, and he thought that he was genuinely the fastest thing in existence. Because
so
he's like, sometimes I can decide to start running somewhere and I'm there before I even start running. It's awesome. That's how fast I am. And
so he was using it, but he didn't realize he was using.
Yeah. And the collector kept their reality gem in a glass case because I've studied it by every scientific means possible, and it's a worthless hunk of polished glass. And, Thanos was like, oh yeah, watch this. And then, horrible things happened, and Collector was like, so, things like that. So they could actually just be artifacts, little cogs that just do a thing. Like the Mind Gem could... I'm thinking each one has like 2 effects. One that's sort of basic and one that's bigger. Like the Mind Gem could like let you look at an opponent's hand or something and then like control their next turn with enough mana. You sort of like the
Invoker.
That's the word. Yeah, the Invokers, who are just some stupid creature, but once you get enough mana they can do horrible things.
Yeah. We're talking about like a crap ton. Almost said the wrong word. Of mana, for some of these effects.
Yeah, so the time gem's like extra super mana ability would be like take an extra turn.
That one practically writes itself.
Yeah.
So what if each one had a static ability? Like the Mind Stone is, a telepathy. Like your opponent plays with their hand revealed, and then you can pay 10 mana to take control their next turn. The time one is while it's on the field, it's a paradox haze. You take an extra upkeep or something, and then you sack it to take an extra. I feel like these would have to be sack, even if it's not flavor wise. What would happen? You'd have to. What are the other? I don't know all the gems I've seen.
There's power. Okay, what have we've got time and mind. Okay, there's power, reality, space, and soul are the others.
Is soul like heart from, Captain Planet?
Kinda, yeah. Except it's slightly more useful, but
well, what if it at a low static effect?
Like the soul gem thing, like when Thanos got it or was talking about it, he's like, I can turn sinners into saints and and saints into monsters.
Okay.
I wonder if it would have something to do with combat. Like you could only, like maybe someone couldn't attack or couldn't attack with more than one creature or something. I don't know.
I like or can't block or something. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature can't block this turn. At the beginning of combat on each other opponent's turn, target creature can't attack. Now that's a pretty powerful effect, so you'd have to pay a little more for this. And then the mega effect is insurrection.
Huh.
They're all mine.
Because they all turn against their creator, which is a very soul thing. Yeah.
Yes. What does power do? Is that the one from Guardians of the Galaxy that Ronan wanted to blow up a planet?
I honestly don't know which ones go with which in the movies. Power is essentially the battery that runs everything else.
Oh, so it doesn't have any effect on its own?
Well, yeah, I mean, the guy who had it was a warrior, and he would routinely smash armies and think it was all because he was just really strong. It had nothing to do with a gem on his forehead.
Okay.
The guys that held these things were ignorant of their true power and a bunch of narcissistic jerks. So,
Well, having a gem like that and not realizing it was responsible for your phenomenal cosmic powers would give you a bit of an ego, wouldn't it?
It's true, yeah.
So.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know what these would all do, but something like Thanos would have the ability, or maybe not. Maybe Thanos would just search up the gauntlet, and the gauntlet would be the thing that lets you win the game. I don't know if you had all 6 gems or something. I don't know. I just know that so Thanos has 2 things going for him. He's got the whole, the God complex where he just wants to be in charge of everything. And the fact that he is in love with the personification of death means that he won't stay dead. So I think he's got the Eldrazi Titans reshuffle thing going on.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, he's from Titan. He's Thanos of Titan. Hey, look, it all fits.
Eldrazi Titan.
Maybe he's not a planeswalker. Maybe he's just a nifty legendary creature. But either way, I think he's got to have the reshuffle thing from the Eldrazi Titans. And he's really strong and really tough and really smart. Like he's a horrible bastard of a strategist. So. There's any number of ways you could put those on cards, and I bet. Oh no! What was the card game? The comics card game.
What
the hell was that game called? There was
DC
Overpower, but there was
DC versus Marvel. Was that the name of the?
No.
Gosh.
My brain is completely comic book collectible card game.
I'm not sure which one you're referring to.
So back in the day, there was Overpower, but there was another one that came after that.
Yeah, there was another one
that I actually played.
Okay.
Was it just called Marvel Versus?
Versus! That's the one! Versus system.
Versus. Okay. Yeah.
Nice!
It says it had DC and Marvel, yeah.
Yeah. Very good, Mike.
That's the one I was thinking of. I just had the wrong name. So where were you going with that?
Well, I know Versus System had several different cards for each character that all focused on different aspects of them. So it could be the sort of thing where you have a couple of different ones if you want the Hulkbuster version of Thanos who just beats everybody, or if you want the sneaky strategist side who outthinks everybody. You just have different versions. It'll be fine.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm going to do one more, and then I need to head out because these guys know I have an appointment tomorrow, early in the morning. So I'm going to go to one more webcomic just because I'm not actually getting paid to promote these comics, but hey, why not? So I think I actually mentioned this one when I started reading it a while ago. It's called Paranatural, and it's a bit of a not really science fiction, but supernatural a little bit. Science fiction, fantasy a little bit, and it takes place in the town of Mayview, I believe is the name, and the protagonists are generally not young kids, but like middle school age kids. So you actually avoid some of the like teenage angst. They're not quite old enough for that sort of stuff. And the driving force behind the story is that there's a new kid in town, and he realizes, lo and behold, he starts to see things that his other family members can't see, and other kids at school, almost without exception, can't see. And it turns out that he's a spectral. He has some ability to see spirits, and spirits are all around him, especially in this particular town, for reasons that are mysterious. Ooh. So he ends up joining this club of other people that can interact, that are also spectrals, and together they try and figure out why this is happening. And they have some extra special abilities because of their ability to interact with spirits. And I think that this has an interesting opportunity to do a very Kamigawa-esque, almost Kamigawa 2.0, because you've got basically a couple different groups here. You've got people that can't interact with spirits at all, and they're kind of on the sidelines, but they get woven into the story at times when they're trying to figure out what's going on. You've got the spectrals, these kids, and a couple adults that can interact with spirits, and then you've got the spirits themselves, some of which are benign, most of which are benign, some of which are helpful, and some of which are very not helpful. Spirits are not necessarily good or bad. It just depends on who they are. As well as there's a couple of organizations involved and, that sort of thing. One of the interesting things about this is that when a spirit gets weak, instead of fading away and being destroyed, it can latch onto a physical object and essentially possess that object and start to regain its strength. If it's used by a spectral, it actually draws some strength from the spectral, while the spectral then in turn can use that item, and that item is classified as a tool. Yes, a tool. Go ahead and, make your joke now. Okay, you're done. You probably made your joke. So tools, I thought, could be an interesting equipment subtype, because all of them are basically possessed objects that grant the user some additional ability, but also house a spirit. And when the spirit becomes strong enough from interacting with the spectral, it's possible it can then head on its own again. So, for example, Cardamate is called Max's Bat. Max is one of the main characters. His tool is a bat, like a baseball bat, and it houses a fairly intimidating spirit inside of it that has crazy magnetic powers. So Max's Bat for 3 mana is a legendary artifact equipment tool. The equipped creature, I struggled with this for a little bit. I decided equipped creature has +2/+1 and has reach. I'm trying to think, what exactly would symbolize magnetism. And I thought, okay, the ability to draw things in toward you. So reach. It has a quick cost of 2. And when Max's Bat is put into its owner's graveyard, and here I might need to adjust the numbers a little bit because this probably doesn't cost enough, but when it's put into the owner's graveyard, you create a 7/7 black spirit token with reach.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, that might have to cost a little more. But in theory, you're not going to have too many ways to just sacrifice the bat just out of hand. It's more of a, hey, if you blow this up, kind of thing.
You're going to have a bad time.
Yeah. And not all the spirits would be that big. So
what we've learned today is that Brian reads obscure webcomics that none of us have ever heard of.
They're obscure to you, but
I've heard of It's Walkie.
Yeah, okay, I've heard of that one.
Apparently that's the one everybody's heard of. So, but again, I love Marvel. I love DC. but I don't have the experience and expertise that you guys have, so I figured I would shoot those off to you guys. And I've learned a little something about this. Now I kind of want to find out how Jason Todd came back from the dead, or do I? I don't know. Maybe that's a loaded question.
I think it was in Hush. It might not be Hush. The storyline is when he came back. I think it's Hush, but it seems like Hush was, maybe it was hinted at in Hush. I borrowed Hush from Squanto years ago and read it, but now it's mixed up in my brain with something else.
Well, it doesn't surprise me that much that he didn't stay dead, because that's one of the universal rules that even I know about comics is nobody ever stays dead, except for what, like Uncle
Ben.
Uncle Ben. I want to say Uncle Owen. That's somebody else. But
he's pretty dead too.
That's true.
Yeah.
Whose
With
uncle is?
Peru.
Oh yeah. See, I was trying to remember where that came from. I feel like a bad fan now, but too many uncles. Everybody comes back from the dead except for old Ben.
Okay. In Hush, it was hinted that the identity of Hush was Jason Todd, but it wasn't. And then in 2005, Judd Winnick wrote Under the Hood. Oh.
Because wasn't it Red Hood was?
Yeah, more spoilers, but yeah. I mean, it was from 12 years ago, so get over it. But yeah, he was Red Hood. Explanation for the character's return was revealed in Batman Annual number 25, but it doesn't explain.
Doesn't explain what the explanation was?
It just says that the explanation for the return was in Batman Annual number 25 from 2006. Thanks.
That's helpful. All right, well, I'm going to go.
Read a book, Ian. Great.
I guess. So, hey, Brian, are there any other random webcomics that you read that you want to share with people before you bounce, that you didn't make cards out of or anything?
There's Namesake, which I think I've mentioned before. It's kind of an intriguing one, and they do a very good job of updating, and it's a couple of years into it, so I like some of the ones that have an established story. Because there's been once or twice where I'll start to read a webcomic, and I'll get about 10 comics in, and they're like, then I'm caught up, and they're on hiatus or something, and I'm like, okay. So, but Namesake is interesting because it draws on a lot of stories that are in the public domain. Alice in Wonderland and The Wizard of Oz and those sorts of things, but does them in a way that's a little different. The basic premise of Namesake is that, wow, it's an entertaining. Nothing I can say, first of all, would be very concise because it's me and because the comic is kind of complicated, but it is worth a read. And again, there's a bit of a back. They've been going for a while, so if you got a little bit of time, it's a nice read to just sit down and get a good ways through. That's nice. Pretty much what I had for webcomics. I will say for comic books, I wanted to mention, if you guys didn't, Scott Pilgrim's Precious Little Life, Spawn, and Preacher. And I thought there would be some interesting ways to do some of those, but I didn't have anything specific, and I need to go. So you gentlemen, this will be my final thought. You gentlemen have a good night. And this has been fun. And I look forward to listening to this episode to hear everything I didn't get to talk about.
Nice. Well, do enjoy your mystery appointment. He's going to Disney, you guys. He's going to Disney in the morning. But
as of right now, at least one of our family doesn't know this. So we have kept it a secret as long as possible. So
you just get, I'm still curious.
Didn't tell the cats.
Oh, God, the cats are going to be devastated.
Actually, they know, so.
I am curious to know when you actually tell Santa. Like, it's going to be when you get in the car? You're going to wait until you get halfway there and she's, like, miserable in the backseat, losing her mind? Like, what?
I think she will have figured out that she's not going to school because school is, 5 minutes away. I think the goal is to make it to the car because she's going to see her stuff in the car. We're taking games and things for her to do, and
we're giving all this away.
the goal is then to maybe see if we could hold off on telling her where we're going. Oh, we're just going on a trip, but again,
well, good luck.
I'm being very careful about what I say right now because I'm pretty sure she's asleep, but her room is right behind this one.
True.
So Okay, well, you guys have a good night.
You too.
Night, man.
Bye-bye.
All right, good night.
And I gotta do my last one also.
Go for it.
So, trying not to go with the mainstream, one that has not been mentioned is Transmetropolitan.
Oh, God.
So I thought to go with Spider.
Spider Jerusalem, outlawed journalist.
So he has 2 abilities: provoke,
Brilliant.
because, he is a journalist. He was well known for writing pieces that definitely provoked a response back and everything.
Not to mention
And
yelling obscenities at people directly to their face.
Yeah. And then because he would occasionally get the snot beat out of him and everything, I thought retrace would be something to throw on him also. So whenever you cast this card from your... You may cast this card from your graveyard by discarding a land card in addition to its cost to cast it. Because, he's been beaten down multiple times only to come right back up from the ashes to make an appearance. And so I thought retrace would be a fun thing to add on it, that he would keep coming back.
I mean, retrace was only on spells, but I'm sure there's some sort of similar thing for creatures.
I don't think the rules keep it from being put on a permanent type spell.
Yeah, I was about to say, it might just work.
All it says is that it can be cast from the graveyard if you discard a land in addition to paying the mana cost.
Yeah.
That's all retrace says, yeah. So it can be put on permanent type cards. It just wasn't, because that would be kind of broken. But, we're just making up stuff here, so it's fine.
Yeah.
So
that
was my last card.
And we could come up with a bowel disruptor equipment. Ooh.
Equipment, use equipment causes creature to tap for this turn and next turn.
And we could come up with some filthy assistants. Oh man, and the cat. Oh, this would be great. Mitchell Royce, two-fisted editor. Oh yeah.
So, well, with me, Brian had talked about several of the comics that he liked. I'm really not into the internet ones. I did 8-Bit Theater for a while as online, and after a while, I just got tired of losing my place and then trying to go retrace my way back. So I kind of gave up on it. In terms of the comic books that I had read, the ones that were not Star Wars related were the Ultimate series, like Ultimate X-Men, Ultimate Spider-Man. Those were mine. And then I've got a mess ton of the Star Wars comics. Unfortunately, as with our previous episode, they are all Legends content at this point. And unfortunately, because of that, I have attempted to pick them up occasionally to read, and then would read like the first 2 pages and go, nah, I don't feel like reading this anymore. So I haven't actually read a comic book in a good long while. The only other major comic books that I have are the World of Warcraft comic books, and I just haven't gotten around to reading them in a good long while. So, but yeah, that's my collection of stuff. Although Preacher, Transmetropolitan were ones I read back in college, and all thanks to Chewy.
Yeah.
So those are the other ones of my my interest.
Look at me spreading all of the horrible nonsense that I read.
Mm-hmm. And I think the other one that you had lent me at one point that I read was Fable. Was another one that I had read that was really good as well.
I really love Fable.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, with that, I am also calling it a night. It is after 10, and I actually have to take Trevor to the bus stop, and then I have to take the 2 little ones to daycare tomorrow, so I actually will have all the kids with me because Chelsea has to leave super early to go to an appointment.
Children.
So, but yes, I have to get myself ready mentally and physically for that, and to prep myself for a Friday. So with that, good night, everybody.
Good night, Zerg.
All right.
Always seems to be just us left. Have you noticed this?
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. They got stuff to do.
Yeah, we don't have lives or friends or families.
Yeah. Or other people in the house to take care of.
There is that. So you got anything else there, Mike?
There was just one more card that I had prepared, and I didn't know whether Brian was going to bring it up with his talk on webcomics or something. But so we've already had one card from this webcomic series show up in Magic, the Avarice Amulet.
Yep.
That was from the Penny Arcade guys. So I decided to come up with a cardboard tube.
Oh my god!
For the cardboard tube samurai to use. So the first thing is that the equipped creature definitely have first strike, because it's pretty much impossible to get the drop on them.
You have been roboting something fierce off and on.
Yeah, and I don't get it. I mean, sometimes it seems like it's worse when I'm not doing anything, and it's better when like I have random other windows open in the background that I'm browsing through, and sometimes it seems like the opposite is true. So I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
I think my service provider just decides to hand out bandwidth randomly sometimes, just for fun.
Freaking Spectrum. Okay, well, you've been okay for the last, like when you started to read off your card, it was terrible. Now you're okay, so go.
Okay. So the equipped creature will get first strike, because it's pretty much impossible to get the drop on the cardboard tube samurai.
True.
And then I decided to go ahead and let it fit in with some existing Magic mechanical settings. So the equipped creature has Bushido X, where X is the number of cards in your hand. I think that'll fit nicely in with Kamigawa.
Nice.
Yeah, it was just something pretty simple.
I mean,
but
the tube is life.
Yeah. And it made sense that, Brian had that list of things that none of us had really ever heard of, because except for back when we were in college, we didn't really share comics with each other. So anything we read now would just be a collection of stuff that we've picked up over the years since then and didn't really share. So I know I have a list of things I read that you guys probably aren't familiar with. And that just happens. It's fine.
Yeah, the difference is back in college, we would have told each other, dude, have you read this? Nowadays, we're just like fervently huddled over our bookmarks. Like, this is what I read. Man.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Basically. Like, I still read Penny Arcade after all those years.
Yep.
I still read Sinfest.
Really?
I do.
I've got Sinfest on my list here because I desperately loved Sin, and I read it for years. And then at some point, I think like I lost my bookmarks, and I just never picked everything back up.
Mm-hmm. There were some stretches where I was just kind of reading it just because I was wondering, where the heck is he going with this? And it really wasn't all that interesting, but it has picked up recently. Let's see, what else I'm trying to think. I don't think I was reading dinosaur comics in college. I think I started reading that in grad school. A lot of other stuff either like stopped updating or I legit lost interest in it. Like, I know Brian and I both read real life comics back then.
Oh yeah, so did I.
But I know at one point I just legit lost interest in it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's still running.
That's on my list too. I looked it up on Wikipedia, and as of recently, the last update was in 2015. Mm-hmm. So apparently he just sort of wandered off.
So he lost interest too.
But I mean, real life started in like 98 or 99. Like, it went for a long time.
Ago.
Yeah. And it was this weird mix of like realism, the character drama, and bizarre sci-fi nonsense. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun.
Oh, Scary Go Round. I read Scary Go Round in college. I still keep up with that. Although it's morphed into a number of different things over the years, but it's still good. It's another kind of a supernatural, people investigating things comic, like the one Brian was talking about.
Interesting. Like one that I actually added to a bookmark just recently, and I think I got this from was it Dinosaur Comics? Hang on. Now I'm curious. Okay, maybe not. On somebody's, like I was on comics at some point, like somebody's comic just recently, like within the last 2 weeks, and down at the bottom they had like comics that I love. and one I just clicked on a few of them to see what they were, and one of them was called, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's OGLAF.
Oglaf?
Yeah.
I think you were looking at XKCD.
It was XKCD, that's what it was, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, the hell is it? Because it said, like, totally NSFW, and I'm like, it can't be that bad. Yeah. Yeah, it is.
It is. And it is brilliant.
It is. I
haven't checked up on it in a while. I know I must be like absurdly behind at this point, but it is truly brilliant.
In like 2 nights, I worked through the entire backlog, so it's not.
That's a lot.
It's not that bad.
That's still a lot.
Well, I started by like where I was, and since I noticed it wasn't sequential, I just went backwards. Some comics are multiple pages, and I didn't know that. And I went.
There are some storylines that go on for a while, yeah.
And I went, oh crap! So I actually just went to the archive, went to the beginning, and started clicking on next page instead of on previous comic.
Yeah.
Because every update could have multiple pages, but you only get 1 page at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know that. So I started at the beginning and just read. And yeah, it's horribly filthy, but it is really well written and funny.
Yeah, it is a legitimately great comic, but it is astonishingly not safe for work.
Yeah. I think within in the very first one that I read, I went, oh. And then in the very first one, when I started at the beginning, I was like, oh. Huh. But yeah, it's really good. Mm-hmm. And Mike loves dinosaur comics. I can't do it.
It just appeals to my sense of humor.
And sometimes they do. And then other times I'm like, you're just talking. But yeah, explain dinosaur comics real quick, would you, Mike?
So dinosaur comics, except for some small variations at the very beginning, when he wasn't quite sure what the comic was supposed to be, it's a 6-panel comic, and the art in each of the 6 panels is exactly the same every single time. The dialogue just changes. There's 3 main characters who actually appear in the comic: the T-Rex, the Dramecium mimus, and the Utahraptor. And there are other like off-screen characters that pop in to talk every once in a while. But I think the writing is very interesting and very funny. But I understand completely why it wouldn't appeal to everyone. And it would seem kind of dumb and pointless to sometimes.
Like today's is freaking brilliant.
Oh yeah.
I just read it. Today's the most recent one. I don't know how often this thing updates.
I think he updates Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah. Okay. Pleasure Toast. Yup. So yeah. What? Seems like I had something else. What else did? Where's my list? Hang on, I lost my notepad. Mm-hmm. Oh no, Sinfest, Penny Arcade in real life. Okay. Yeah, those are the other ones that I remember enjoying. Oh, and 8-Bit Theater, of course, which is a twisted retelling of the Final Fantasy 1 story that I read back in college and then lost track of for the same reasons that Dirk mentioned. Is that if you like your browser closed and you didn't know what comic you had it on, it would take you an actual month to get back to where you were.
Yeah.
So when Brian at some point told me that it was done, I went, what? And I might have mentioned it in an early odds and ends, actually. I actually went back and read it all over the course of 2 or 3 weeks. And I was like, oh, that was really good. It got a little weird at some points, but, overall it was worth the effort. There were several Sprite comics I used to read back in the day that put various characters into various places, but they've all disappeared and I have no memory of what they were called. Mm-hmm. There was one that took place in a bar and a bunch of NES characters hung out there and everyone hated Pit from Kid Icarus because he was a little douche. But I have no memory of what this was called. I just remember at the time it was really funny and I loved it. And it ended at some point and I was very bummed out. But because it ended at some point, I lost the bookmark.
Yeah.
So if anyone knows what that one is, please tell me, because I would love to go back and read those again to see if they hold up. But yeah. I guess we've beaten the whole comics thing to death, haven't we?
Pretty much.
We did a lot of non-traditional stuff, which I think is good, because everyone has done like, oh, we'll turn Superman into a magic card or whatever. Although I do like the idea of the web shooters giving reach and can only be blocked by creatures with flying. So then, Beardy Man, what have you got for a whatever thing? A final thought.
For a final thought, let's go to that email real quick. Let me just remember who sent it. Thought it was really funny, the email that Eric, huh? Is that how you would say that?
I don't know. You're roboting, but I don't know how you pronounce it. It's Eric H-E.
Eric, huh? That's what I would say. Anyway.
Hey, Eric, how
I
do you pronounce your last name?
because I was opening Gmail. But he sent us a link to a video of Louis Scott Vargas talking about, maybe it's time to finally restrict workshop in Vintage after Eternal Weekend, where, like Chewy said earlier, I don't know if that was that was in the odds and ends. Chewy referenced earlier that the top 8 for the Vintage portion of Eternal Weekend was just shops and Oath.
Shops and Oath, yeah, 5 shops,
and they were Oath decks that were like tuned specifically to beat shops, but they still couldn't do it because shops won. And he mentioned how listening to thinking about shops and watching the video with LSV talking about it, he just kept thinking, "Oh, but Dark Ritual's fine."
It is. It's totally fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Let's just keep banning all the artifacts that cost 3 and 4, and we'll be good. No problem. I mean, yeah, and I'm sure it would make a lot of people mad, and it would make several people quit Vintage completely, because when you go in, you have to go in on a deck, and you got to be serious on it, because it's not a trivial thing to assemble a Vintage deck.
Yeah.
A competitive Vintage deck. Like, unless you just go crazy spending money, it takes multiple years to save up and get it together. To save up and trade and get it together. So, but who knows? Sometimes formats need stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know enough about Vintage to make any sort of anything. I know that you can't just look at the top 8 for events.
Right.
But it seems like Vintage, I think I said this on Monday Night Magic, Vintage seems to be, as far as the ban and restricted list updates go, Vintage seems to be a constant struggle between keeping blue decks down and keeping shops down. Like, whenever they do something to the blue decks, shops rises up like a monster. And whenever they do something to knock shops back down, the blue decks rise up and take over.
Yeah.
Just from reading the updates for why they've added to their restricted list. Like, well, we restricted Monastery Mentor because it was running wild. And then before that, it was, we've restricted, I forget what it was. Hang on, let me look. Vintage.
Didn't they do Gush at the same time as Mentor?
It was, shut up. It was Gitaxian Probe and Gush. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, it was Thorn of Amethyst and Monastery Mentor. And they unrestricted Yawgmoth's Bargain. Before that, it was Probe and Gush. Before that, it was Lodestone Golem was restricted.
Shops is fine.
Yeah. It's like Dark Ritual. No problem. But anyway.
Yeah, thing is, like, with stuff like Mental Mistup and Spell Pierce and Force of Will and, like, cheap Disruption, non-interactive combo decks still kind of have a hard time. So if you can just start flooding the board with absurd plays starting on turn 1, that's a good route to victory. And that's something that Shops is really good at doing. You turn 1, just do something flat out dumb, and then just ride it as long as you can.
Yeah. Anyway, so what else you got, Mr. Sir?
That was it. I just wanted to comment on that email.
Fair enough. Well then, I read lots of comics. Well, that's a lie. I have read lots of comics. But any more I don't. Although I have added, I still read Penny Arcade 3 times a week. And they just announced that the next book is finally coming out. Finally. To cover 2008? 2009? Something like that? So, if you're going to have, 3 years between books and each book is a collection of years, you're never going to catch up to yourself. Damn it. But that made me very happy. I've added, what'd you call it? Oglaf? Yeah.
Yeah.
And now that I know that Sinfest is still running, I'm totally going to start that over again. I have a trick. Well, back in college, before there were tab browsing, and a browser that would remember your tabs if you closed it, I just had a Sinfest bookmark, and I would read, and when I would stop reading, I would bookmark that one. So I could
use that trick a few times.
Yeah, so I could just open that one and start over and keep reading, and then delete that bookmark and make a new one, and that's just how I caught up. But nowadays, with I have tabs open in Chrome here that have been open for I don't know, decades. So yeah, I'm totally gonna start over with Sinfest and just catch up because I love it. And if you haven't read Sinfest, give it a shot. If you have strict religious sensibilities, you might not wanna, but you could probably tell that from the name.
I'll get over it.
I'm pretty sure that Monique, at least old school Monique, would have some sort of lure effect on male characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, present day Monique is quite different.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Good to know, I guess. But anyway.
Yes, some of the characters actually grow and change.
That's amazing. Is the Great Dragon still around?
Yeah, the dragon still shows up every once in a while.
Because I love the dragon.
Mm-hmm. And God is still as sarcastic as ever when he shows up.
Is God still just a hand in the clouds?
Yes.
Yes.
Sarcastic puppets.
Oh my God. God using the devil puppet was like my favorite thing ever in Sinfest. Ever. The best. The devil standing there going, shut up. Oh, good times. Great oldies. Anyway, so yeah, this was fun. I'm glad that Brian came up with this idea and that we then executed on it. Brian didn't say anything about next week, did he? I don't know when they're coming back.
I think the trip was going to be very short.
Oh, okay. Just checking. All right, then. I think I have an idea for next week, but I don't want to throw it out here just yet. Yeah, so, I guess that just means that I have to tell you about all the stuff that's going on. So, over on YouTube, I'm playing Cuphead. I have now re-uploaded Cuphead 1 in full resolution. I won't go into that here, but it is a large pain. You know the one time that I try to be topical and play a current game and maybe attract some new viewers? YouTube is like, it's gonna look like crap. So I've re-upped Cuphead Episode 1. So, there was a small addition to the very beginning. So if you already watched the video, you should totally go watch the first part again if you don't want to watch the whole thing, because now it's in full resolution and it's very pretty. Episode 2 went up for early release today, so it'll go public tomorrow. Episode 3 is recorded. I will spend tomorrow editing it. And then I'm going to get back to the Lich King, because I've only got 3 battles left on the Lich King in Hearthstone. What is it? Priest, Rogue, Paladin. I think in that order. People keep telling me, do Priest last. But I have to do Paladin last because Arthas. Duh. So...
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm going to do Priest next, and people warned me it was also bad. I'm like, it can't be worse than Mage and Hunter, and then the mental gymnastics I had to go through for Warrior, so I'm going to try it. What do you think, Mike? Was it worse than any of those?
Was which one
Priest.
Worse than what? No.
Okay. Just checking. So that's going to be what's going on on YouTube. Well, of course I'm going to get it, because otherwise I won't put the video up. I'll keep going until I get it, and then I'll edit that down into something watchable like I did with Warrior. I don't believe I had so much footage for that one and managed to make it work for the most part as a video. I was quite proud of the editing I did on that one. But anyway, Over on Twitch, I've been playing Overwatch because there's an Overwatch event, and that's what we do when there's an Overwatch event. It gives us an excuse to play Overwatch and grind for loot boxes because we're all addicted to that sort of crap. Really, all I'm missing now is the Zenyatta, like, Cthulhu cultist skin, and I don't care about the rest. So, and I have enough gold to just buy it, so if I don't open it in a box, I'll just buy it and be like, yay! And go back to ignoring Overwatch for the most part. I had a short list of games that I was gonna play coming up for videos, but I didn't actually write it down. So now I don't remember what they were, other than Halo Wars. Yeah. Gonna play through the story campaign on Halo Wars because I love that game. And that's really the only reason. Oh, I want to play through that so that I can then play StarCraft, the story mode, and then StarCraft 2. That's what it was. Yes. Because Blizzard Mike was good enough to throw some of those at me. When StarCraft Remastered came out, he's like, I'm not going to use this code. You want it? I'm like, yeah. So, yeah. But I can't start with StarCraft because I've never played an RTS with a mouse and keyboard before. So I'm going to play an RTS that I'm familiar with already with a mouse and keyboard. And then go play a game that I'm completely unfamiliar with a mouse and keyboard. Make sense?
Yeah.
I appreciate your, whatever you say, patronizing. Yeah. But anyway. So, if you would like to show some support to the Mana Pool in any way, there are a variety of ways to do it. You can just listen. Throw some feedback at us. There are any number of ways to get in touch with us. You can email us, dorks@themanapool.com. There's @themanapool on Twitter. There's the facebook.com/themanapool. Leave us comments there. There's the website itself. YouTube comments, Twitch chat, all that good stuff. You can share any of this with anybody that you think would appreciate it. You know, hey, there's this guy. Let's talk about Nerd Rage. You should listen to it, you nerd, because you're always angry about stuff. You know, tell people about that one. And a big thanks goes out to Blake over on the Wizards website for putting the Nerd Rage episode in the daily update. That was super awesome. Yeah. And we really appreciate it. So let's see. So there's just consume the content. That's 1. There's give us feedback. That's 2. There's share it. That's 3. You can subscribe or follow or whatever on, let's see, like iTunes or the YouTube channel. You can subscribe. You can follow on Twitch. If you want to give feedback in a more monetary way, you can subscribe on Twitch, or you can use your Amazon Prime subscription on Twitch, because a lot of people didn't know that. Bill didn't even know this. On Amazon Prime, you get a monthly subscription token that you can give to any Twitch streamer, but it's manual, so every month you have to go in and resubscribe or give it to someone else. So, yeah, any of you that have Amazon Prime, my only ask is that you give it to a smaller streamer, because we appreciate that sort of thing way more than, oh, look, it's just another, like if you go sub to Kibler. I'm not saying don't sub to Kibler, but I'm saying the percentage of one person subbing to him is minuscule, whereas the percentage of one person subbing to me is fairly massive. So yeah, and just remember to go in every month, look at it. Oh, hey, it's my subscription to this ran out. It must have been a month, and give it to someone. It's awesome. And we really do appreciate it, because as far as Twitch is concerned, it's the same as a paid subscription as far as, you know, supporting the streamer. So, hey, sick. Let's see, what else? Oh, and then there's Patreon, of course. Duh. Where you can go to patreon.com/themanapool and sign up for a monthly amount and maybe get some stuff. So you can get Manapool episodes and YouTube videos early. Wow. Or you could get the early stuff and the odds and ends, which is all the stuff recorded before and after both Monday Night Magic and the Manapool, where you get to hear us be uncensored and complain about our day, our lives in general. Well, not complain about, talk about our day, talk about our lives in general, talk about all the other nerdy stuff that's going on, plan out the episodes. If it's Monday Night Magic, then Bill and Clues and I will be laughing at all the links that Clues has sent us over the course of the end of the show. And Bill and I invariably end up talking about some sort of random nerdy nonsense for far too long after the show. We don't know why. It just happens. Yeah, and you can listen to Mike and I go, I don't know now what. And you'll hear Mike say, I should go to bed, and then we'll talk for an hour.
Basically.
So yeah. And if you want, you can get the early stuff, the odds and ends, and you can get your name in the end slate for every video that goes up in the time that you support at that tier, and get your name read off on both podcasts. So, for instance, you could be one of these names. A big thanks to Kim Ho, Andrew Hunt, Al, Lands Delicious. Oh god, okay, I did this on Monday Night Magic, I can do it again. Temu Hellas Haryu. Haha, I think that's right. Daniel Hall, John Morris, Stuart Slough. I'm just going to keep saying your name like that because you haven't gotten back to me yet. PJ McMullen, Bosco Brittain, who I'm going to keep saying your name like that because you haven't gotten back to me. Casey, Nathan Hay, AJ Javieres, Cody Buckawing, Jacob Jansons, Jason Kaus, Gothic Man, that's Patrick, Brian DeLucci, Stark Maximum, Dan Holm, Mike Millerburn, and the Beast Father himself, Aaron Goodwine. I love you all very much. I quite literally couldn't do this without you, but I also couldn't do it without all of the rest of you whose names I didn't read off. So, yeah, as I say in every video, every little bit helps, and I really do appreciate it. So, hey Mike, is that everything?
Seems that way.
So just out of curiosity, for those of you out there, are there any other places we're missing? Like, should I start a Tumblr? I don't think so. How about a subreddit? I don't even understand Reddit, so probably not. But is there something vital that I'm missing that you think would help? Then let me know.
Tinder profile.
A Tinder profile for the mana pool? Yeah. Ooh, swipe right. I just have my picture, my cartoon picture. There we go. That'll be the profile picture.
Yeah.
I think Tinder uses Facebook, so that would actually be the main picture anyway. Oh, and one more thing. At some point in the second weekend in November, probably Saturday the 11th, but it might end up stretching beyond that. But definitely on Saturday the 11th, Cap from Lair of Lore and I are doing a all-day charity live stream on both of our Twitch channels. And we're going to be playing, I think, primarily multiplayer games. Because we both have this massive backlog of great multiplayer games on Steam that neither of us freaking play. So we're going to do that for charity. I think... Okay, I don't want to make any announcements on details because we haven't actually worked those out yet. But that's the plan right now. As more details are figured out, I will share them here. But keep an eye on the social medias because that's where I'll be doing most of the announcements. So like on the Manipool Facebook page and on Twitter, that sort of thing. So yeah, come hang out, donate to a good cause, enjoy all the silliness. And like I said, I'll probably end up making a full weekend out of it and just streaming either on Friday or Sunday or both, just all day. Maybe with Cap, maybe without. It's going to depend on him. So, yeah. Anyway. And with that, I guess we will be done. So, this has been, I already forgot. Oh, the Palindromic, episode 484. I did not forget. For very long. Of the Mana Pool. And let us know, by the way, if there are any comics or webcomics or comic strips, that sort of thing, that you think would make good Magic cards. Throw some of your creations at us, because we always love that sort of thing. Yay. And now I'll be done. So, thank you all so very much for listening, and go play some Magic.